evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you joining us live today. And thank you for taking time to be here. We truly appreciate your patience. And I'm Priya, and I'm delighted to be the moderator of today's session of Women Everyday series here in Edition. So, today's conversation is titled The Skill Collapse Threat: How Leaders Can Access India's Fast Widening AI Talent Gap. So, this is a topic that feels both urgent and unavoidable, I would say, for the present condition, especially for leaders who are building teams, shaping workforce strategy, and preparing organizations for what lies ahead. So, before we dive in, a quick note on the series, what we are all about, what Women Everyday series is all about. So, Women Everyday series is SheWork's flagship initiative that brings together industry leaders, change makers, experts for thoughtful conversations like what we are having today on leadership, work, and evolving workplace in India. So, the idea behind WS is simple yet very powerful: create a space where real perspectives are shared and assumptions are challenged, and actionable insights emerge from lived leadership experiences. So, today's session is, I guess, very much aligned with that intent. So, as AI shapes India's workforce, the conversation is no longer about adoption alone. It's about readiness, it's about capability, and it is about how leaders identify, bridge, and future proof talent gaps at a pace that business now demands. So, this session today is especially relevant for the CXOs, HR leaders, and decision makers who are navigating this shift in real time. So, to unpack this topic, we have an exceptional panel with us today. First off, I would like to welcome Dr. Tanaya Mishra onto the webinar today. So, Dr. Tanaya Mishra, the Global CHRO in Solutions Global Limited. Dr. Tanaya Mishra brings with her deep global experience and a strong strategic lens to human resources and leadership development. At InSolutions Global Limited, she plays a pivotal role in bringing future-ready agile organizations with a clear focus on strategic HR leadership. So, her career spans senior leadership roles, including MD at APAC, at Accenture, Global CHRO at Strides, and VP and Head of HR at Endo. So across these roles, Dr. Tanaya has led cultural transformations, designed talent development frameworks, and consistently pushed the boundaries of how organizations think about leadership readiness. So she has also been an active contributor to industry forums, shaping conversation around talent development in India's dynamic business ecosystems. And Dr. Mishra, we cannot be more than delighted to have you here with us today. It's such a pleasure and honor to have some amazing stalwarts like you join our webinar this evening. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the amazing Mr. Manoj Garg, the one and only Manoj Garg, the Group CHRO, Dr. Lal PathLabs. Mr. Manoj Garg is a seasoned business leader and CHRO with over 3 decades of experience driving talent, strategy, and business transformation, particularly across healthcare and allied sectors. So, as Group CHRO at Dr. Path Labs, one of India's largest diagnostic companies, Mr. Manoj leads the people and culture agenda while working closely with board and leadership team to scale operations, strengthen governance, and support long-term growth. So his areas of impact span large-scale business transformation, leadership and success in planning, technology integration, and governance, always with a clear focus on sustainability and stakeholder values. So it's such an honor that Mr. Manoj brings a strong learning mindset for this webinar today, backed by global executive education in AI leadership and governance, which is definitely so apt, which gives him a forward-looking view of how technology and talent must come together. So it's definitely a pleasure to have you join us today, Mr. Manoj. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you for having me on the panel.
It's such an honor, sir. It's such an honor, truly. So, with that, we have a fantastic panel here and a very relevant topic, I would say, in front of us. So, let's quickly get into the discussion and explore how leaders are addressing the skill challenges shaping India's AI-driven workforce. So, now let's quickly take the questions today. So before that, I want to briefly frame why this discussion matters so much right now. So on one hand, India's labor market indicators look so strong. So labor force participation is rising and hiring is picking up, and large organizations are expanding. So on the other hand, it's only about 15 to 20% of the workforce today is equipped with AI ready skills. So this disconnect is what marks today's conversation, both which is definitely need of the hour, I would say. So from a leadership perspective, are we facing a short-term capability gap, or is India starting a deeper structural skill collapse? So I would love if Mr. Manoj could take this question. Sir, we are seeing strong hiring momentum and positive employment data. So yet organizations are struggling to find job-ready talent for emerging roles. So I would love to hear your perspective on whether this is a temporary mismatch or something more structural that leaders need to address differently. Mr. Manoj, could you please take that question for us?
Right. So, Priya, I would probably not call it as a skill collapse or a gap which cannot be really fathomed. The economy is not driven just by AI first companies or AI first enterprises. The economy is very large, and
Mhm,
the jobs which you are seeing, which are getting created, are probably in all walks of life, right? Having said that,
mhm,
I think there is an adoption of AI. At least there is a lot of awareness which is coming up basis all the generative AI solutions which have kind of come into force in last 3 years. Yes, it is true that not many people have
mhm,
really gone ahead and learned all the skills, all the tools, all the areas which are required for AI. But I guess it's not only unique to India. It's world over like that. And adoption of AI is
mhm,
not just a issue of skills, it's also a issue of readiness of organizations. One thing which I learned was that you can't just go and bolt on AI onto everything in every company. The organization has to have the data, it has to
mhm,
be discoverable, it has to be clean, it has to be ready, and there has to be very clear identification of use cases where it can make an impact. Then only you can really go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to apply AI there. So I think it does get
mhm,
discussed as if people don't have AI skills. Organizations are now trying to identify areas where they can actually benefit by implementing AI based solutions, and organizations will have time, and employees will this imperative is there that it's going to be a reality, but they will have time. So
mhm,
eventually I would not call it as a skill collapse, but I guess
mhm,
it's a skill stroke competency gap which needs to be
mhm.
bridged with both from an employer and employee perspective.
Great. So I would like to confer that many leaders see this not as a temporary gap, but like how you mentioned, it's a structural mismatch between how skills are built and how it is changing, if I may say so. So, Dr. Tanaya, would you share your perspective on it?
Look, see, we are in a stage of constant evolution, right? So we are constantly unlearning, relearning, upskilling,
Mhm,
and trying to understand we had the Y2K problem long time back. We had the crash of 2008, where there was a big economic collapse, right? Um, so I would say that, look, organizations are changing. They're becoming more adaptive. They're becoming more
mhm,
agile. It's about understanding. I wouldn't say it's a collapse. It's always been there. So it's not like it's
mhm,
suddenly we one day we wake up and everything collapses around us. That's not how it is. And even when you're talking of AI, now AI is now become ASI, so artificial super intelligence, right? So even the
correct.
term is changing. So like Guka became Bunny, right? So if you look at even artificial intelligence, today, if you look at it, we are a tech company, we're a fintech, right? So even when we're trying to build agents, now there are two pieces to AI. So there's the generative AI and there is the agentic AI, right? And in the generative AI, it's more about, where there is touch and feel and stuff like that. And agentic AI is where you have agents that build it, right? But if you look at Google and everybody else, and you're talking about the talent that's coming in, there is also an adjunct AI which is looking at the agents which are playing truant, right? So what I'm trying to say there is that this is a constant change of evolution. It has always been there. It's not like, oh, what are we going to do? So there is no collapse as such. It's about reorganizing and rejigging one self and the organization and the organizational needs and capabilities. So
Nice.
it's about also understanding, and I think my co-speaker also said that every organization is at a different stage in life, right? And look, for instance, I might have AI, but I still need coders to build the code, right? For instance, if I am a manufacturing company, I worked a long time in manufacturing. Yes, you would have bots to do your the work on the lines, but you still
Mhm.
would need somebody the expertise to be able to look at what is going on. So I think it's a question. I think it's a little over exaggerated. And it's a question of how is an organization coping with the change and what is the need of the organization for the change.
Nice. Great. Great. Yes. Understanding the relevance of the importance of this situation. Yes. That leads us directly to I think, to a paradox of many boards and struggling to explain, which is India's labor force participation rate is at its highest in recent years. So I would like to say that especially driven by rural participation and self-employment. So yet organizations report skill shortages in critical areas. So how do you interpret this paradox from a leadership and workforce planning lens? So I would rephrase my question that how do leaders explain this paradox of more people working but very fewer people ready for AI led roles exclusively for areas which are tier 2 tier 3 cities? So Dr. Tanaya, would you like to shed some light on this?
Sure. So let's understand the kind of society we were, right? So we were an agrarian society, and then from there we became a judgmani society, and then from there, we became a more of a bourgeoisie society, right? So if you look at, the way the labor force has been, it's always been in the context of the times that we are in. So, yes, you do have a lot of people, that's the young workforce, but let's also understand every organization would require a different kind of skill set. And so, therefore, the gap between the learning curve between the skill set and being ready and where the talent is. So if you look at institutions today, yes, they are imparting, and there are more and more institutions which are coming up. But what happens is how many of them are ready to be for the intake that the corporates want. The skill levels that maybe what I want and what Manoj wants are two very different pieces. So he would want somebody, I would want somebody, or any industry leader would want somebody who's up and running. So the transition between the entry point and actually being active on the job is taking the time lag, and that's what people don't have patience, because everything is about being ready, and everybody wants a future ready organization. So today if you're looking at, so today everybody's talking about Python has been there since I think 2000, and we had it in Accenture in 2015, I think, right? 16, and it still continues, so what I'm saying is the skills will continue to change, and therefore it's about the industry being able to get the talent and train the talent to be future ready. Let me tell you, I had a shortage today. I have a shortage of fintech trainees. Earlier I was in a pharma company. I'm somebody who's moved across industries. So what did we do? So we have to be, as organizations, we have to plan the future and make our entry points to be future ready. So we had a 1 year long program where we train people on different parts depending on what skill they want. So we said that, look, we're going to train you for 1 year. You're going to get exposure into different levels. You're going to have a capstone project. You're going to be groomed and trained on, how do you answer an interview? How do you, do a case study? How do you understand the profit and loss? And you'll have lead speaking. So what happens is you are creating a talent pool for the industry that you are in. And the best of the
True.
talent probably you're taking. So it's about a collaboration between the industry and the academia, which will ensure that this gap is, or the paradox that, like you're saying, there is a kind of a
Mhm.
delta that changes because you are constantly looking at what is coming your way and how you able to change the situation.
Great, great. So, like how you rightly mentioned, many rules they still exist, but I think the skill content of those rules have changed faster. It has evolved faster than the learning systems. So, Mr. Manoj, what's your take on this?
So, uh, see, the question which you asked was that there are so many people employed, but still there is so much of, uh,
Yes,
let's say, gap, right?
there is a
So
gap.
this
Yes.
is this. So as my co-panelist said, I think this is not new. We have seen this all throughout generations, and one of the reasons which I think is because the Indian education system is more knowledge based rather than skill based, and skill training or skill element, people actually come and learn on the job.
True,
Now, having
true.
said that,
Very true.
if we have to really fast forward and say, why are there less people who are AI ready? The answer
Mhm.
lies in the fact that AI is right now a very, I will call it as a general purpose tech. It does not have a specific function applicability. So AI can be used in finance, in HR, in IT, in medical, and so on and so forth. So which means that all the functional experts are expected and supposed to learn the tech part of it. So all of us have people in our organizations who have functional skills. They need to learn the tech skills. So in the fintech, finance guys need to learn how to use tech. Tech guys need to learn how to code it for finance. And similarly for health tech, my doctors have to really learn how exactly the various tools which are emerging out of AI solutions can be used for supportive decision making. Now, I think this is a journey which will happen. I guess first 2 years, most of the professionals or experts were in the stage of denial, saying, AI can't do this. I am an expert. I have 30 years of experience. I have a better capability than AI. But slowly and steadily, they realize that these tools are here to stay. They are improving. They're improving very quickly. They are consuming all the knowledge which we have gained over 30 years in less than 30 months. So from denial to acceptance and from acceptance to adoption is the phase which we are going through. So we are bound to have scenarios where people are still ramping up on the AI skills. And again, it's a very loosely used word, right? AI skills. Most of the people are going to use AI tools, and they will, like we used to learn Excel, now they will learn multiple AI tools which will help them do their functional job well. So I think
Correct.
that's where it is.
Correct.
So yes, there is a conversation around unavailability, skill gap, and so on and so forth. But I guess
Mhm.
the unavailability and skill gap is more around core AI engineering talent, which obviously
Mhm.
is a very, very new discipline. Very few people used to do PhDs and things like that around this. As far as for the general employability skills are concerned, people have to learn very quickly the various AI tools. And again, the issue is that there are just too many. So selecting which is the right one, which one the corporate is going to adopt, is what right now is going on.
Nice. Correct. Very true. So I think even you would agree that hiring has shifted from volume to value hiring, which is like prioritizing productivity, critical thinking, and adaptability. At the end of the day, AI is AI. So unlearning a few things, what our Indian education system gifted us with is will definitely come very handy. Thank you for that perspective. Next, I would like to understand that we see a clear shift towards skill-driven hiring, like how we were speaking about, where productivity, adaptability, and critical thinking are becoming more valuable than traditional role definitions. So, from your experience, how should leaders rethink what employability truly means. I mean, in this new context, how should leaders redefine employability in an AI first economy where skills matter more than the roles? So, Dr. Tanaya, would you please go for that question?
So, so yes, employability is key. I think what every organization does is it looks for the value in the people that they are getting in. I think we always say, we hire for talent and train for skill, right? Or rather, hire for attitude and train for skill. So the entire piece is about, is the person coachable? Is the person agile? Is the person willing to make that change? Please understand that the generation that we have today are not willing to make that change. They are people who got it easy, so therefore it is very difficult. I mean, I'll give you a small example which happened today. We gave a 55% hike, which we actually looked at all of the, we went beyond processes to try and keep him, but he said, no, I'm going to walk out. It was 55% hike, and he decided that he's going to go to a place where he doesn't even have an appointment letter, where they just showed an appointment letter, like, this is your appointment letter. So
Ah,
also understand that the mindset of the people who are coming in is very different from the mindset that was there earlier, right? Here are people who want to get it quick. They have had the privilege of their parents doing well, so that they are not saying that, I need to work very hard to get the kind of money. So it's easy money which is accessible to them. A lot of them want to be their own masters, so they don't want to get into a job. They want to do jobs. So therefore, this entire piece of gig or moonlighting or all of that which is coming now, because that's the nature of the beast is that their
yes.
attention spans are very short. They are very ambitious. They're also, because today's generation, you'll have the future generation, who was the COVID generation, right? Who were born in during COVID. So they are very, very handy on laptops. So let's understand. So therefore, that employability is partly to do with the person, or the individual who who wants to get into an organization, and what kind of organization he or she wants to get into, or even whether they want to work or not. So they might just want to become entrepreneurs. They might want to do short stints. They might just want to pursue their hobbies. So it's a very different
True.
answer to the question which I would have probably answered, say maybe 4 5 years back. So in that sense, I think things are
Convenience.
changing, the
Yes.
dynamic landscape. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Convenience taking over effectability and efficiency, like how you aptly mentioned. Mr. Manoj, what do you have to say about it? Do you actually, being a person who has 30 plus years of experience, do you also encounter Gen Z kids around your organization who actually come and say, no, sir, this is cool, let's do this?
So I have a very different, view to this whole thing. And first
Mhm.
and foremost, I think there is a lot of narrative around Gen Z being in this manner, that manner. I really feel bad how the world and the society is really boxing this whole generation into one. My sense is that the meaning of work has
Mhm.
changed from generation to generation. My parents, it was a necessity to work. There was loyalty because they needed to put food on the table, and so on and so forth. My generation looked at it because the food was already there and the shelter was already there. Looked at it slightly differently. We wanted to really, you know, do something for ourselves and build, let's say, with a purpose we worked. The next generation
Improve
has a
our
very
life.
different, yeah. So next generation, if these two things are taken care of, which is the physical safety, psychological safety, is moving to
Mhm.
a next level of attainment, and that's perfectly okay, because for them work probably means something else. So I wouldn't really, look at it any differently to say it is a generational shift. Now, for HR, it becomes important that how do we really understand it and really figure out how the work is going to get done. Now,
Mhm.
coming back to this
Correct.
aspect of employability in the AI first economy, I would still say that for next 10 years, still domain expertise, ability to make right judgments, and
Mhm.
probably organizational context or the business context will be very relevant. And why I say so, because the fact that current generative AI is still uh, is going to respond to the way you ask. If you ask generic questions, you get generic answers. So if you really want to solve something using generative AI, then you must really know what to ask, right? So the context, the depth is important. Second, if you look at the agentic AI, uh, to really create a proper agent, you must know the business well. Then only you can really create all the flows, where the information is going to come from, how exactly it is going to process, what are the failure points, what is the intended outcome, and so on and so forth. So to me, the definition of employability is not changing, but I think people who have domain expertise, ability to do problem solving and organizational judgment, and have good organizational context, and if they are AI trained, they have the ability to use AI tools, they become preference or preferred candidates for the employers compared to who just have the domain expertise and so on and so forth. And that is where I think the challenge would come in, because people who do not have AI tools familiarity and skills, they will have difficulty working with the Gen Z generation, which is actually born in that era where, making reels and knowing how to get the audience attention, how to create one person business, and so on and so forth, is kind of second nature to them. So organizations will always have people who have domain expertise, and there will be people who come with very latest knowledge. For them to coexist and collaborate, there needs to be a bridge, and that bridge is basically the tools, knowledge of tools and skills. So I think it is more upon people with experience to really adapt and adopt the new wave of AI.
Nice, nice. So the slight battle between familiarity versus proficiency, I think that's where we are talking about. So employability is increasingly about, I think, even learning velocity and not just static experience, like how you aptly mentioned. So thank you very much. And yes, once
So
employability,
it's
I think,
also
is
about
redefined.
understanding. Look, it's also about understanding the relevance
Correct,
of.
correct.
See, one is, you see, if you look at it, I think there are two pieces to this. Okay, so
Hmm.
one is, what is the skill of that generation. Okay, so here it is AI. Earlier it was something else. Before that
Correct.
was something else.
Yes.
So there's a generational trend which is there, which one needs to know. Then is the domain expertise, which one is, so for instance, pharma, fintech, manufacturing, blah blah blah. Okay. Then over and above that is, say, are you in finance, are you in development, DevSecOps, are you in IT, are you in HR, so I think those are the three combinations, give or take, for every generation to be able to be agile, and to adapt and to adopt, like my co-panelist said, to be able to be successful.
Correct, correct. So career paths might become like are becoming non-linear nowadays. So I do agree. But yes, like how you mentioned, skills do act as a true currency at the end of the day. No matter the generations might change, I think the relevant skills are what that keeps us alive and kicking in our career path. Yes, thank you, leaders, for these amazing perspectives. Such great perspectives we have, different hues of thinking and understanding from the experiences where you come from. So the next question I would ask is, many organizations, they continue to invest heavily in reskilling initiatives, be it for women who are trying to come back after a sabbatical or anything. So at the same time, we are even seeing role redundancies and redeployments, and even in large and established companies, this is the same scenario. So how should leaders decide when to reskill and when structural role changes become an unavoidable situation? So from a leadership lens, when does reskilling make strategic sense, and when is role redesign or redeployment it is unavoidable? Dr. Tanaya, would you like to say something about it?
Let's understand that every organization, unless it's a charitable organization, is there for profits, right? Let's look at, the economic crash in 2008. It's not like that organizations didn't want to retain, but it was not in their domain to retain, right? or for that matter, the COVID crisis, which happened, where a lot of fashion houses just went because there was no reason for them, right?
Me.
So they have to
Correct.
be profitable. So from the leadership lens, if you do not reskill, okay, to the needs of the organization, it is you become like a dinosaur who's going to die. Okay. So it is very essential for organization to reskill, but at the same time, sometimes reskilling is not possible, which means that there are role redundancies. So when there are role redundancies, it is essential to understand that what do you do next, or what does the organization do next. It is also about understanding how do you when you're getting these redundancies, and I'll give you examples. We let go, rather, when I was in one of my assignments, I had to let go, and I've done a lot of mergers and acquisitions. We had to close Bangladesh for a particular company that I worked in. So we ensured that they were employable. So that's the after that, of course, the organization said this is what we can do to help. We sold off one of our plants in one of the companies in the US. Okay, so and then bought something else. So it's also about understanding nuances which are not here, which is also the culture, and to understand whether you can integrate the culture with the organization that you have gotten. So the redesign can be in different ways, and then if you are also going to go to another organization which you have undertaken, and you say, well, I am the bigger piece, and then you try to force your way through, then there's a lot of how should I say, challenges and resistance, which means that then there are unions and other repercussions, right?
Correct.
So this is a very complex question which has different perspectives, right? um, Reskilling makes sense when the organization is either moving into a different domain, A, B, or is coping with the future. So that's really how reskilling happens. And reskilling is really a way of life because change is the only constant, right?
True. Very true.
All design happens only if there is either and when I say redesign, it is also depends on the proficiency levels, and it could be a linear or it could be a progressive, it could be either, right? And redeployment is a very difficult one for organizations. Even while they spend a lot of money, they sometimes it's a inverted pyramid. So what do you do with all the flab which is there at the top? So you design different ways, and when it is not possible, I would add another one, which is redundancies. Okay, so it's just not possible to redeploy. So you don't. Maybe you're not a very large organization. Maybe you don't have the finances. So there are different kinds of reasons, right? So therefore, redundancies are what happens, and therefore you just have to let go people.
True, true. So yes, Mr. Manoj, like how Dr. Tanaya just like aptly mentioned. So just to com- just to get group whatever Dr. Tanaya just told. So I think reskilling works when capability adjacent to existence or otherwise it becomes extremely expensive and slow. If I'm not wrong, Tanaya. So Dr. Tanaya, thank you very much for that perspective. So Mr. Manoj, would you like to add your points on this?
Right. So I think, in my view, reskilling is a imperative, which I think we can't probably, put it aside. Like
Hmm.
15 years, 20 years, 30 years back, one could stay on the same skill sets and stay employed or employable for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, maybe for a lifetime. But that velocity or speed at which new skills are required to stay in your job or to grow in your job has changed dramatically.
Yes.
And quite a lot of it because of AI and technology and automation. Having said that, is it just an employer's responsibility? It used to be, but should it be a joint responsibility or employees' personal, desire and responsibility? That is where the shift is happening. I think it is very important for anybody who is today in the workforce to realize that it is equally their responsibility to continuously figure out what exactly is required to do the job better. What are the new things which are coming up, and how does one skill themselves or at least improve the knowledge? The good news is that today in the internet era, content is available, information is available.
True.
There are lots
Easily
of people
accessible.
who are, yeah, lots of people who are creating very good quality university grade content, which can be used by people to upgrade themselves. Now,
True, true, true.
when from a
That's
leadership
true.
lens, I think it is an imperative. No leader should say that, okay, I will not invest in reskilling. But it's a hard, difficult job. If it's a large corporation, it's a very difficult job. So, second, none of the skilling imperatives happen overnight. In fact, even if you look at AI and try to trace back the history, the paper on which OpenAI's model is was published in 2017. Attention is what it takes, it's all that matters, or whatever it takes, it's a Google paper. Now we are in 2025. Chat GPT came out in November 2022. 3 years is enough time to reskill people or upskill them in prompt engineering, context engineering, and so on and so forth. But if it has
Yes.
not happened, it is partly the fault of people who are not curious, and partly employers who do not know, or who are probably thinking as to how am I going to use it, right? So, short answer, I think it is a leadership imperative. We can't shy away from it. It is always better to known, loyal, hardworking people who have adjusted to your environment, your business, to help them skill into the new areas. And if that doesn't happen, then only you go for uh, getting skills from outside. But the interesting paradox is, the new skills, the talent pool is also not available outside. So what are we talking about? We can fire everybody, but still find nobody outside. So I don't think it's a easy answer. So as a HR person, I would say my first job is to really see 3 years down the line what skills may be required, and ensure that I have skilling, reskilling, upskilling programs going at a pace, so that when 3 years down the line, when actually it becomes very important, I have a readily available skilled workforce. That's how I see the whole skilling, reskilling, and redundancy subject.
Yes, like from the CHRO perspective, I think you'll agree that redeployment is something emerging as a strategic lever, but not a fallback option. Upskilling and reskilling again takes a backseat if there is no curiosity either with the HR or
No,
the
it's not.
people who
It's
are
just
working
not
there. So,
curiosity. It's about, is it, are they coachable or not? Some people are just not. I mean, even if you try, they will probably come for classes. They'll be very sincere, but fail the test. So what do you do then? So I think it's a two-way, or rather three prong process. One is the organization wanting to help people reskill and upskill. Two is the intent of the person to be able to skill and reskill. And third is, are they really have the wherewithal to be able to do that skilling,
true.
are they capable? Okay, sometimes they're not, and you just have to let them go. You give chances,
Yes,
but
yes,
you don't have a choice. And there is no crystal
true,
ball gazing, because you see, I mean, 3 years is a very, very long time. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
true, very
So,
true.
so I think it's about constantly trying to be agile and coping and seeing what is necessary, and how do you play that strategic role of trying to understand here and now, and maybe 1 year, because today it's very short. You don't know what's coming next. It's so fast.
True. True. Change, like you were mentioning, aptly, change is the only one which is constant. And yes, change is necessary, else it becomes extremely expensive and definitely it's going to slow the process. That brings to the next question for today's discussion, which is let's talk about organizations which talk about it, but which probably struggle to execute because the internet mobility is often talked about as a solution. And yet in practice it remains very difficult to execute. So what changes in leadership mindset, governance, or organizational design are needed to make an internal mobility which is truly effective? If I may reiterate my question, it's what leadership decision or structural changes are essential to make internal mobility a real safeguard against skill obsolescence rather than just a well-written policy? So, Dr. Tanaya, your views on this?
See, for instance, if you look at internal mobility, I mean, while it's what all of us would want in terms of giving the a well-rounded perspective to people, and the method that we do is maybe you do, I observe, you do, I observe, and then you do. So that's really the methodology. But if you look at it, internal mobility, there is it's very very difficult for organizations unless there is a an enforced rule where you say, well, you need these internal transfers, you need this upskilling to happen. Otherwise, there is a lot of resistance because people or leaders feel that they have spent invested time in their workforce or people who have reported to them, and they would just not want them to go, or to go to a different department. IJPs are something which or internal job postings are something which all of us would like, but unfortunately there is not. We would want to compulsorily rotate people, right? But it is something which is very very difficult. And then if you are an international organization and you're looking at secondments, it is becoming very difficult because one is that earlier, I worked for companies where we would send people to US, to Europe, etc., and that was something which was people would want to do that. But right now it becomes very challenging in terms of the regulation, the country codes, all of that. So while you want internal mobility, unfortunately the regulations of the country does not allow it. And if it is within your own country, it is difficult because people are not willing to either sometimes not accept a new person, and sometimes not willing to let go. So I think that the internal mobility, I would think, is very different from skill obsolescence, because skill obsolescence is about upgrading your skill to the domain and expertise. Like I said, you could either be linear or progressive. So which means that you're moving up, or you are getting into a very very expert area where you cannot replicate that skill, right? um,
True.
and it is very difficult to put everything down in a policy because it is so it cannot be boxed in, and it is so dynamic, and changes are so change is happening so quickly. So I think it's very difficult to put it all into a document and have a policy around it.
True, true. Yes. So I would like definitely. It's so rewarding to hear from you that yes, mobility must be rewarded and definitely not penalized, I would say, in performance systems. So, Mr. Manoj, I would like to ask this. So, managers need initiatives to release talent and probably not hoard it. Probably. So, what's your take on it?
A couple of things which can always promote internal mobility, and the simplest one which I have seen in one of my previous organization is that you stop hiring from outside, you put a hiring freeze, internal mobility improves because managers know now they can't hire from outside, so they start to look at internal talent more favorably. Having said that, I think progressive organizations, what they do is they create frameworks around celebrating those managers who create or develop their team members, but not under their own organization, but let's say a metric like how many people moved out of your team and got promoted, right? So there is an incentive for the manager to be a part of that list where he or she is seen as somebody who's a net talent exporter or talent developer. Uh, it is also a constant kind of discussion inside the organization where you will have to consistently start saying, okay, first try inside, then go outside. So one knows very well that if they are refusing to look at internal talent, then their hiring can get delayed by 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks, because unless the whole process is completed, you just can't go and hire from outside. And last, I think this sensitization, good leaders realize that interviewing somebody over a 1 hour and trying to say, okay, this person is the right talent versus somebody who has been in the company and inside out last three performance histories and internal assessment reports, which one is more, let's say, scientific, which one gives you a better perspective of going right, so I think those are the elements which need to be brought in. But having said that, I think one can't go, on one side to say, okay, everything has to be internal mobility and everything has to be outside. It has to be a judicious mix based on your industry, your context, what kind of skill you are hiring. Many times you are hiring for skills which are just not there inside. So you just can't simply say, okay, I'm going to pick up a front office executive and try to put this person in the IT department where this person has to write AI code. No, it doesn't happen, right? So if that skill is completely new, it's very niche, uh, and you think it is going to take a hell lot of time to retrain people or upskill people, then you can go out. But I think it's a healthy mix which you need to try, and it works. It does work. I have seen in my last 30 years, there are organizations where internal mobility becomes a very strong way to not only supply talent but also retain and develop talent.
Yeah, and
Talent
I'll just
retention
add,
and
actually, so,
yes, please.
usually most organization have a 70-30, but where 30% is from outside and 70% is inwards. And I've also been part of organizations which had internal assessment centers to, where there's 2 days of rigorous assessments to see whether people have and simulated environments where they have the requisite skills to be able to take on the next role, and also promotions within the band. There is succession planning. There's a lot of uh, processes around, but when it actually comes to implementation, it's really takes the mickey out of you to be able to implement all of this on the ground. And so that's 70-30 probably becomes a 40% internal and 60% external. So, and that's the reality, unfortunately.
Yes, yes. I think, yeah, through the skill visibility also, through data and AI-led talent marketplaces, I think like how Mr. Manoj just mentioned, it becomes extremely critical at these conditions. So thank you, Dr. Tanaya also, and Dr. Manoj for this question. So now I would like to quickly move on to our Q&A session. We have so many questions from our audiences. Thank you for being such wonderful audiences, and we have some amazing questions over there. First, I would love to take this question by Ms. Sheetal, which says, what mistakes do companies commonly make when trying to hire AI talent quickly? So, Dr. Manoj, from the place where you come from over the years, you have seen the new generation who wants fast food and instant coffee. So, what are those mistakes people, the HR actually makes when trying to hire these people with AI proficiency and hire quickly?
So I think the biggest challenge is that everybody's trying to figure out what this whole AI talent means. The guy who's interviewing also is, swimming in shallow waters. So uh, the assessments, the mechanisms, this whole area is still evolving, right? So it is but natural that everybody is going by more, what the resume shows, and it's very difficult to really hire the best talent in volumes. Remember, just volume is not there. So I would say at this stage, let's not call it mistake. I think it's a learning for both the parties. So
True.
so both HR as well as the managers are learning. And in fact, I would say that the challenge the managers face is that they are actually not up to speed to understand the domain well. I do not know how many CXOs are willing to really roll up their sleeves and and their pants and really dip deeper into the AI domain, to really be able to assess and say, okay, here is the right talent for me. And again, I'm not talking about the startup founders and the techies. I'm just talking about the conventional organizations who are trying to hire AI talent.
Nice, nice, great. Thank you for that response, Mr. Manoj. Thank you, Ms. Sheetal, for this question. And we have one more interesting question, and I would love if Dr. Tanaya takes this. So, do you believe we had, definitely just had this perspective shared by Mr. Manoj in our discussion previously today? So, do you believe the current education and skilling ecosystem in India is keeping pace with AI adoption in industry? Why and why not? Dr. Tanaya, please, would you like to share your
See,
thoughts on this?
I personally feel that, educational institutions are trying very hard, but there is definitely a big mismatch between what is taught in universities and what is really needed. While there is a lot of academia and industry collaboration, there's still a wide gap, and we find that's the reason why we have to spend so much time and effort in training and skilling employees, or new age employees into the organization that one is coming in. So it is essential that the collaboration is there, and so that you can actually have ready made. So, but it means a lot of investment, which people are not willing to do from both sides.
Great, great. Thank you very much. So there are two more questions. I would really love if our leaders could take it. So how should organizations differentiate between AI skills and AI mindset when building the future-ready teams? This is a question by Mr. Saket. Would you take it up, Dr. Tanaya, for us?
See,
Dr.
so
Manoj, I'm coming right back at you after asking for your perspective for this question, please.
So, see, I think one way which we have tried to do it is by asking technical questions way before, so as before the interview even happens, to be able to understand whether they have the technical expertise, and so therefore and today people want to know why they've been rejected. So there is a kind of a report to say, well, did you learn, or were you able to pass the assessment or not? After which, after the technical, we have codabite, so we after which, we kind of then take the person for interview, so which means that the person is ready or not. Two is the domain, so if you are in an acquiring domain, or if you are in a perso bureau domain, if you are in a recon domain, so what is the kind of test cases that the person is addressing. And like I said, every different, there is no one size fits all for AI. It is different from different functions, and therefore whether one is ready for that and has been trained is what matters.
Mhm, mhm. Great, great. So, would you like to share your thoughts on this quickly?
Okay, quickly, I think the mindset question is a leadership level question. Uh, Leadership has to really enable the mindset and push it down. And skill set is a bottom up thing. So if leaders start to have a mindset, AI mindset, then organization will start to develop AI skills. And it's not the other way around, right? So don't expect somebody who's just fresh into the workforce to have an AI mindset. I think the leaders
Mhm.
have to change the mindset, and then everything else will happen.
The leadership mindset versus the AI mindset. Yes, there should be a continuous learning. Thank you, both the leaders, for your amazing perspectives over it. So, coming to the last question of this evening, I would like to quickly understand from both our leaders, for both our distinguished panelists of this evening. So, as leaders shaping up India's next decade of work, what's that one promise organization must make to future talent to remain relevant and trusted? So, Mr. Manoj, would you please share that one little promise that organization must make?
I think organizations have to continuously tell employees that we are going to invest in tech and we are going to
Mhm.
invest in your capabilities, right? So tech is the need of the hour, and you are
Great.
going to be the enabler for my business. These two things are going to be there. What we want in return is that, are you really ready to bring your curiosity and your willingness to to upskill yourself or learn new things, which is going to, by the way, become a very constant phenomena. So it's a difficult situation for the next 30 years, where people will have to learn new things every year. So, and it's very fatiguing.
True,
So
true.
organizations, as an organization leader, I will always say that we are going to invest into the technology for the future, as well as into the people. People need to really
Mhm.
embrace it.
Correct, correct. So the promise one organization has to make is a promise of continuous relevance than a promise of a lifetime employment. I would say you're relevant, your skill is you're upskilled every now and then, and that's where the promise is made. So thank you.
Priyanka,
That's
nowadays nobody wants lifetime employment. So I think that promise is of no use. So I
yes,
think
that
I
that
think it's
that
a different world
definitely gets
altogether.
nullified. Yes,
So
yes, true,
I,
true,
I would
so
say
true.
that, immaterial of, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working for yourself or you're working for an organization or you're a gig worker, I think three words are very, very relevant. Change is the only constant. So you have to understand what is the environment and what is the change, A. So that is more within uh, the professional. Two is learn to be agile, and because opportunities will not come always. So whatever is the opportunity, you need to ensure that you are quick to learn. And third is upgrade. Whatever it is upgrade your skills. Today it's tech, tomorrow it could be something else. God knows, because it's a constant change. And today we are saying AI and tech. Tomorrow we'll be saying something else. We don't really know.
Correct.
So I think these are the three words that I would advise anybody, which is relevant.
Nice, nice. That's amazing. A commitment to growth, even when the roles evolve or disappear, like how you just said. The organization's transparency about change, disruption, and expectations. That's wonderfully put up. Thank you, Dr. Tanaya, and thank you, Mr. Manoj, for this wonderful time of yours. And that's these were like amazing, insightful perspectives. Whatever we witnessed this evening, and we've been, of course, we have definitely been receiving several thoughtful questions from our audiences as well throughout the session, but very less time to review all these questions. So thank you very much. But as we come to the end of this session today, I would like to sincerely thank our panelists, Dr. Tanaya Mishra and Mr. Manoj Garg. Thank you for sharing your precious, valuable time. Thank you for sharing such grounded, forward looking insights. Actually, these perspectives have added real depth and clarity to a very complex topic, I would say, for this evening. And it has been a privilege moderating this conversation with you, definitely. So, thank you, our audiences as well, for joining us, engaging actively, and contributing with very thoughtful questions. I'm sorry we couldn't take many of the questions, but yes, I'm taking the liberty of telling our audiences to please connect with our leaders and ask these wonderful questions. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to take these questions up one or some or the other day. So, yes, the conversation around
Thank you.
skills, technology, leadership is far from over. So, this definitely is evolving every day. So I encourage all of you to follow SheWork on social media to stay connected with our upcoming editions of the Women Everyday series, and many more such leadership conversations like this do happen all the time. So please stay connected with us. Let us keep the child in us alive. Let's keep the curiosity alive and stay open to learning, and continue questioning how the future of work is being shaped. And thank you once again. Have a amazing rest of the day. Have an amazing Friday. So before we sign off, I encourage all of you to definitely keep signing up with us on all our media platforms for such engaging conversations. It's definitely a pleasure to meet all of you this evening, and we promise that we'll have more such amazing conversations in the coming days. And the new year is definitely going to be amazing for all of us. With these wonderful perspectives, I think so many leadership audiences who joined our session today are going to implement all these perspectives in their coming year in the 2026. It was such amazing, insightful experience for all of us. We were here. Thank you, leaders. Thank you, one and all, and thank you, our audience. And hoping to see you soon for yet another power packed session of SheWork. Till then, stay curious, stay grounded, and thank you very much.